The first time we worked with Matali was for the Pigeon Loft project, and we asked her if she'd be interested in working on a new pigeon loft with a group of commissioners, and we installed the pigeon loft in 2003. And we also did a project with her in our other space, and we asked her to work on the idea of a new salon, a new living room, and it was called the sliding living room. And so when we got this space, we wanted to have another project and asked if she'd be interested. So Matali suggested that she'd do a project called Domestic U.F.O, and she came to the space, looked at the space, and the idea was that the domestic U.F.O would really land in our space. The idea that it came from somewhere, we don't know how it got here, but it was definitely for the space. So one of the things we asked Matali was to take into account that people come to see the exhibitions, but through the windows. It's very important. Sometimes they just like to have a look through. And so we asked her to think about the walls, and so that there would be the U.F.O, but there would also be something on the walls. So of course it made sense to do the landscape. So it's a wall painting and a drawing and a construction. In fact, there's sticky tape, and we had fun putting the sticky tape on with the plans. So we have paint, sticky tape. The object is very simple. The object is based on trestle tables with neon lights and polystyrene plaques that come on the top. And that's also very typical of Matali's, to find the most pragmatic, simple way of making something. And everything arrived like in a kit. Right? So you can imagine that it's something that you could go and buy from a shop and do it yourself. The idea was also that the space, the new module for the living room should go into different spaces and not necessarily domestic spaces. And so we've had several libraries ask us if they can have the space as a reading room for adults or for children. And so we like the idea that something will leave an art space and then go into the general public space. And I think this notion of conviviality is important. It's always been something central to what we want to do at ArtConnexion. And of course for Matali, it's central to her work too. And I think also Matali has this concern for people and making people feel good and feel comfortable in the projects that she does. So when people come around and they realise that there's an opening, they wonder whether they can come in or whether they're not allowed to touch. So we have to tell them that they're supposed to sit down and take time and experience the work as it should be experienced. And once they sit down and they realise it's comfortable, well then they're happy and they stay. We have some people who stay, they come with friends, they stay and have a chat for ages. And it is very comfortable. And I think people appreciate this idea of being on the ground again. So that's also very coherent, this idea of sitting around talking to each other.
Donc effectivement, à partir du moment où on leur dit que c'est une œuvre d'art, mais qui a été réalisée pour qu'on puisse s'installer dedans, là effectivement les rapports avec le public changent et les personnes sont vraiment ravies, elles trouvent ça très confortable. Et donc notamment l'espace de téléportation qui est ici, c'est Matali qui a utilisé ce terme-là, qui propose aux enfants de grimper dessus en fait et d'avoir un petit aperçu de l'extérieur, de l'intérieur de la soucoupe. Et c'est notamment les enfants qui apprécient vraiment la structure et qui veulent la même dans leur chambre, quoi. À chaque fois, chaque enfant veut la même chose chez lui.